Hi, I'm Anthony Amorello, host of the Paving New Roads podcast, and today we're coming to you from the penthouse at the Andes on the Sunset Strip in West Hollywood, California. And I'm sitting down with Asif Ali, creator and star of Deli Boys on Hulu, or maybe you know him from The Mandalorian. Either way, you're going to love this episode, and thanks for tuning in.
I did not know I was funny.
I just wanted to be funny.
I like with Psycho.
Twice as good as Spielberg.
I don't know what your podcast is called, but it would be like Paving New Roads.
Thank you for coming out, brother.
Are you kidding me?
Appreciate you. We were just talking about how you've tricked the internet into there's so little information about
Very little information about me.
Yeah. Outside of your many accolades.
Yes.
They do highlight those, but you try to find out when a guy's born and
You're never going to know.
Never going to know.
You're never going to know.
I didn't know you were actually 12 years old.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
I'm 12. I'm an old 12. I'm a Nepo baby.
How many years into comedy are you?
Let's see. Probably like 15.
15. So we're talking, you started 2010?
No.
Am I doing the
shit,
math
it might
wrong?
be older than that.
See, this is why Google doesn't
Wait,
even know, dude.
2025. I probably started 2006 or 7, actually. Holy shit.
Because all the internet had to say was you were doing improv in Chicago when you started.
Yeah, I've been doing it a really long time. But I was doing improv. When I moved to Chicago, I was doing improv.
When did you know comedy was something you wanted to get into?
Middle school.
Oh, shit.
Middle school, high school, like when basketball didn't work out.
I
really believed that basketball was going to be like a thing for me.
Damn.
And then in like high school, but I didn't make either of the middle school teams because I went to like a public school, and you're not making a team in a public school.
Yeah.
And but my cousins who went to private school, they're like, we're on the team, and I go, yeah, of course you're on the team. It's all tiny rich people.
This is A and double A, baby.
Yeah. We had like people were like balling at my school, so I had no chance. And then I was always like really into comedy, so I would say I started doing it tail end of high school. So
Improv.
No, stand up.
Stand up.
I tried stand up,
Jesus.
And then when I moved to Chicago,
How do
to
you
go to
do
college,
it when you're in high school? Were you 18?
My theater teacher in high school said that you could do stand up on Mondays and you wouldn't have to do homework. So he was like, just write material the whole week.
You're doing stand up in the middle of the day during school, dude?
Like
Whoa.
Yeah, in the afternoon.
Were you
before
doing
class.
crowd work? You're like,
No crowd
Stacy,
work.
look at this dumb
If
bitch."
only I knew back then.
You would have, dude. What was your material back then?
It was bad. It was all really bad, but it was like I was very enthusiastic, and I was very, I was probably just doing shitty. I don't even remember. It's probably just like shitty versions of other people's material that had.
Where my Indian people
Yeah,
at?
yeah, and there's like nobody. They're like, no, you're the only one, dude.
This is Phoenix?
Phoenix, Arizona. Yeah.
Phoenix, Arizona.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of your comedy, obviously.
Thank you.
Your bits about growing up in Phoenix are incredible.
Thank you.
Yeah. When did you so like you start writing and then you
And then I go to Chicago for college, and then I started doing improv when I was in Chicago.
And you were like,
while I was also doing stand-up. I went
and
to
you
University
didn't like
of Illinois,
improv
Chicago.
as much?
No, I loved improv, but the problem is both of them happen at the same time. So it's like then you have to make like a judgment call. What am I going to do at night?
Sure.
And stand-up I could make money doing stand-up. It wasn't a lot, but
yeah.
And improv is like very you have so many people, and so it's like I've never been in a band before, but it did make it more clear to me why bands would break up, because it's like it's very hard to coordinate with like 7 other people
for sure
to do practice and to do shows and to like be growing at the same time, because then you would be like, oh, this person's lagging behind or they don't care. How long do we keep this person here? And then this person's like going ahead, and then certain people will move or whatever.
This is why you do so well.
Yeah.
Because you're like cutting off. You've been cutting off fat since the beginning, dude.
But then I came out here and I did it. I I did.
Were
like,
you acting back then too? Were you getting auditions?
No, I was doing like short films and
Okay.
stuff like that. I didn't start like acting proper until I moved to LA because I was doing like college gigs and stuff like that, and I had gotten asked like my old reps were like, hey, if you ever want to act or something, like they had seen some things that I put on the internet, and they were like, if you ever want to act in something, and you ever are in LA, let us know. We'd love to like send you out for stuff. So then I was like, fuck it, I should just move to LA.
And then you moved here. What was your?
My move was I was working at Lens Crafters at the time. And yeah. No commissions. I just didn't have that. But I would like help kids put contacts on and shit like that. And I would tell parents to like go to other places.
Just
I worked at this Lens Crafters that was in a rich neighborhood outside of Chicago in a suburb called Oak Brook. And so a lot of the people that came in were like rich. So I was like, whatever. But they would get scooped up by like the girls were like very like pushy. They were like very good at their job, meaning if they could tell someone was rich and they were like, I got this person, I'm gonna get the commissions from this, and they'd make so much money.
Yeah.
And then I would get left with the people who were just like regular ass people, and then I would feel bad because the glasses were really expensive. So I would often tell them like, I would find out like the max of like your insurance, and then I would tell them like, don't go to like Costco or something for these other two things. And so they didn't like
dude,
that.
You're the
I
Robin
was
Hood of
I
eyesight,
I
dude.
was the Robin Hood of eyesight, yeah. And so, granted, I wasn't doing well at that job. But then when I moved out here, I started like auditioning and stuff. And then that's when I met like Fahim and Aristotle and Hasan and stuff. And then a lot of the auditions were kind of like shitty at that time. They were like, like terrorist and cab driver and stuff like that. And I didn't want to do that. And so a lot of like older actors and stuff that we knew that didn't do stand-up or had any other income source outside of like a day job, they were told in acting and stuff, you get told like, if you just do whatever the job is and you do it well, then eventually you're going to end up getting jobs that you want. But that doesn't really apply to like, oh, you're a cab driver 3 times. Or then when you go in and you try to audition for something that's like just the friend or the guy or the love it, whatever, they're like, no, you're a cab driver. This is what
You drive the love interest.
Yeah, you drive the two love. They're making out in the back seat.
Yeah.
And then, you know what I mean? And so a lot of very talented actors I knew at that time, this was like 2013, 14-ish, they left because they were like, I can't get any work that is like meaningful beyond this. So they were telling us to just keep doing stand-up and whatever else you can do and make your own stuff. That way you could hold out. So then you could only audition for parts that were closer to things that you actually wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so then that's why we started doing like sketch and stuff like that. It was essentially just a vehicle for us to do like short films and put us in characters and situations that we wanted to be in as actors that weren't being made available to us. But it did work.
Yeah, clearly.
Like, that was like a lot of my reel were just sketches and stuff that we had shot.
And what was the first like big book?
I did a bunch of pilots. I would do a lot of pilots. I would do like a pilot, sometimes 2. Like around that time, that was still like when pilot season was happening.
Sure.
And so I would do a lot of pilots, but none of them would get made. So my year used to be just like I would do like commercials, co-stars, guest stars. I would do stand-up, and then I would do like a pilot, and then that would be like my year. And so I was like, oh, okay, I guess this is just what it is. And then I would say
That's
like,
incredible.
Yeah, it was great. I was very lucky to have that. But I think the first big thing was I did this show called Wrecked. And it was like a funny version of Lost, and it was on TBS, and then it was like on HBO for a second, and then HBO did this weird purge thing where they like purged a bunch of their shows. But that was like the first time I was like a series regular on a show, and we did that for 3 years, and that was just like, that was great.
Going from like doing sketches with like, what is that feeling of like being on a set, being for 3 years? Yeah,
it was awesome. Like I had done guest stars and stuff like that, but to be like a series regular on a show working consistently was awesome. It was like, oh, you spend all this time trying to get and you know, you're shooting 10 episodes, so it's like 3 months maybe. And it's like kind of crazy to think about. Like you spent your whole life for these 3 months. And then after you do those 3 months, you don't know. Like you do season 1, you're like, I don't know if this is going to get a season 2. And then you do. And then it's that 3 months. And then blah, 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 blah. And, you know, in that in-between time, when people are freaking out, thankfully I had stand-up. So I didn't have to like.
So you've been making it on stand-up alone since you basically.
Since I've been out here, yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
What do you think your favorite project is that you've gotten to work on?
Probably Deli Boys.
Oh, well, hell yeah.
Yeah.
I should have said excluding the
'cause it
one that you made.
I would say just this one because it's
Didn't know you were going to vote
Yeah.
for yourself.
just because it's like the first show where like I'm not the only guy that looks like me on the show.
Yeah, well, it's huge.
That's a huge thing. And then also the fact that the show isn't about like being a brown dude. It's just a show about these dumb idiots who get into the mob or whatever. And it's like an action comedy and all of these things that even when we were doing Goatface and the sketches and stuff, these were all of the things that we were trying to do. And I remember we had pitched the show and we wanted to do like a sketch show and we would take it around and pitch it to people. And they're like, we don't understand who is the market for this. and meanwhile, there was like a big market on the internet. They just didn't see it because at that time they couldn't fathom, you know, for brown dudes like making a thing. And then so to be on this show now, it feels like sort of a, you know, a culmination of all of these kinds of things, you know. And then it shoots in Chicago, which is so cool because that's
Did you
almost like
text any of those guys and be like, who is this for, you asshole? That would be great.
No, I actually did tell them, like, even when we were in Chicago, like, when we were out shooting on locations and stuff, I felt so old because I was like, you know, like when you go back home, there's always like that guy on the stoop who's like, you know, that used to be a whatever.
Yeah.
I would do that with open mics, like when I'd be in Chicago, when we'd be shooting on location, I'd be like, I know that's a Chipotle now, but upstairs I used to be an open mic, you know, we used to do 3 minutes in the snow, you know what I mean? Like that.
You see
and they'd
that
be like,
where that guy's rolling the burrito?
yeah, and they're like,
I bombed there.
Yeah. That's why the vibes are weird in there. Two people have bombed in there, and they would be like, okay, dude. But, like, it was very cool to me to be back in the place where I sort of figured out what I was doing before I moved to L.A. Those Chicago years were, like, very important to me. So I feel like that time is very cool and going back on a show to like, be in that same neighborhood and, like, do all that,
Do you get let into what the numbers are like what markets you did reach?
No, you know, the thing with streaming and stuff is
it's very secret.
It's very secretive.
Why is it so secret?
They don't tell you anything. They don't tell you, because back in the day, you had the Nielsen thing.
Right.
So you know, like they would tell you. They would tell everybody. These are the shows. This is how this is doing. This is how people used to be able to negotiate because they would be like, why are you paying me this much when our show is the number one and blah, 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 blah. So.
And then they figured out, they were like, if we just.
And that's exactly why. So they're like, hey, how do we withhold this information so then we can keep all the the cards close to the deck. So I don't know.
Interesting.
They'll tell you, hey,
on the street.
This is this, but I don't. They're not going to be like, hey, here's the PDF. Here's what it says.
Yeah.
And they don't show that to anybody.
Right.
It's just speculation. They'll put out like, hey, these are our whatever, top 10, whatever. But I don't know what algorithm that they're using.
Right.
To determine that.
Top 10 of their office?
I don't know.
Right. When you walk down the street, what people...
Some people do know.
Yeah.
Some people,
well,
like, even I was here at the store yesterday, it will, sometimes there'll be people who'll be like, it's very like black and white though. It'll either be like, I don't know what you're talking about, or we just saw it.
Ah.
So like, I think that takes time to kind of like permeate.
For sure.
Because there's so many shows. There's so many shows I haven't even seen yet. So I think that you're just like
I
in this.
can't even help to watch new show. I just keep watching Sopranos at this point, dog.
It's so good.
It's so good. I don't need any of this new stuff.
No.
My friends will tell me what's good. I don't have the bandwidth to filter through
There's
it.
so much stuff. So I think just like keeping a thing going. That's why like doing a season 2 is like important, because it's like all of these things sort of compound, and there's like a whole chunk of people that didn't see season 1 that will see it now that there's a season 2.
Absolutely.
Because also a lot of people have been sort of burned from like so many shows get canceled after season 1 now, which is like a new thing.
Yeah.
So that I feel like a ton of audiences are like, don't even talk to me until you get a season 2, because I don't want to invest into a show that's just going to get canceled again.
That's actually a really good point. You have an incredible work ethic, clearly.
Thank you. I'm trying.
From starting in high school, which is crazy,
Yeah,
to
end of high
that
school.
moment of Deli Boys and getting a season 2,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like you truly don't stop. You have a show across LA
Yeah.
after this. Like, it's incredible. Where do you think you got that from? That drive? What feeds that?
I don't know. I think it's like because I'm not a Nepo baby.
Yeah, of course.
So
not.
it's
You
like-
wouldn't have grown up in
I just-
Arizona. That's crazy. Not one person in the history of Arizona.
Hey.
has
Yeah.
had a
They're like, where'd you grow up? That guy's definitely not Nepo baby.
Yeah.
I think it's like I really enjoy doing it, and I feel like the more I put into it, the more I get out of it. And also because I do both, acting and stand-up, I'm very cognizant of like when I'm acting on things, I can't do stand-up. So for like those 3 months, I'm not doing anything, and then
Yeah.
you take that much time off,
You have an
then
edge.
you're rusty as hell.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So then you have to like get back into it, and then you get into like a sweet spot.
Oh, yeah. That first step back, you're just like...
You're like, what am I doing? Yeah.
Pounds of dust coming off you. Yeah.
And they're just like, this
Absolutely.
is the guy.
Yeah.
And so it's that, but it's also partly like there's still so many things that I want to like do. Like I have so much material backlog now, and I still want to do a special.
That's great.
And I think because it's like a thing that's always, it's like a living thing, especially with stand-up, that I like the process of it, of like always having like working on new stuff and making new stuff and blah blah blah, developing things and having. I don't know what it is.
Are your parents like this?
My
Are
mom
you,
is
are your
like
siblings?
that. My mom is like that. My brothers are like that. Yeah, I think it might just be like an immigrant thing of like, hey man, if you don't do it,
Yeah.
nobody's gonna do it for you, kind of thing.
What did your parents do?
My mom's a respiratory therapist. She went to like a trade school, and
Shit.
she became a respiratory therapist. And then she was working with grown-ups. And then this is why I don't smoke.
Yeah. Who smokes?
Yeah. Yeah. You? Yeah.
Yeah,
My mom
my
was
bad.
like, do
My
not.
bad.
My mom's like, do not do that. And then she transferred, because adults were so annoying, she transferred to NICU working with babies, like premature
wow.
babies. And then I would go like sometimes hang out there. Like when I was learning how to drive, I would drop her off I would drive her to work, and then I'd take the bus back home. And then when I was at work, some of her friends would joke with me that I was like a preemie. And I was like, I'm not here to get roasted. My mom would be like, yeah, probably.
You're like,
yeah.
You're like, I just brought my mom here to help these
And I'm
freebies.
literally the most vulnerable. I'm 16. Don't do this to me, dude.
I'm about to get on a bus
Yeah.
with just my thoughts right now.
Like, Zabe, you should throw him in one of the containers. Like, no, I'm not a premature baby. And then my dad, you're gonna love this.
I can't wait.
My dad came to America. He was working in like a factory, putting like fenders on, like a very 8 Mile minus the wrapping.
Yeah.
And then he tried to go to school, didn't work. Somehow got a job at Honeywell. That's why we lived in Arizona, because he got a job in Honeywell.
Okay.
And when he got that job, my grandma, his mom, was like, okay, it's time for you to get married. He went back to India, got an arranged marriage, didn't know. Like my mom and him
That's
had never met
crazy.
before. It was just sort of like,
That's
hey, you meet in the
insane.
living room, and you show up with your crew. So like she showed up with her
Dang.
family. And they go, all right, do you guys have any problems with each other? And they go, I don't know this person. And they go, all right, enjoy the rest of your life together.
Are either of you repulsed by each other?
And they go, I don't know. And they go, all right,
That's an
enjoy the
insane.
next 50 years of your life. They're still married. And then came to America. My dad was working at Honeywell. My mom wasn't working at that time. He got laid off because this was like instead of doing fenders, he was working on computers back when they were like gigantic. And so this is right before like super micro whatever personal computers had become a thing. And so they like completely demolished that entire plant.
Oh, wow.
So then he was like doing dishwashing. But then this whole time, my mom knew something was up with him because he was like way too into birds. And my mom was like, this is more than a hobby. Like, you seem like obsessed with birds. And he's like, you don't know what you're talking about. And huge red flag. Ladies, if you're dating somebody
I
and he
didn't know
has
you when
one
I met
animal
you.
that
You
he's into.
still don't know me now.
Yeah, if you meet a guy and he's into just one specific type of animal, you gotta really dig deeper into that. And so then what he did is he had some friends that were like animal people. And one of his friends was like, hey, they're not allowing people to bring in animals anymore. Like, you can't just fly in with, like, a bird from, like, Brazil or some shit like that. And he goes, okay. And so what's happening is, like, people are smuggling them, but they're really cracking down on that, too. And he goes, okay, so what are they doing with the birds that are already here? And he goes, oh, they're quarantined in Southern California. And he goes, okay, so then what? So they're just going to live there? And he goes, yeah, some of them will live there, but then, like, periodically they'll do, like, auctions. The state will have an auction where people can come and buy these birds at, like, a discount. And instead of my dad being like, oh, cool story, I'm going to keep searching for, like, better jobs and then, be like a normal guy and raise my family, whatever. He took, like, a significant chunk of our savings as a family, and he took our minivan and he drove to, like, Southern California and somewhere in Orange County, and he bought a bunch of jungle birds.
Dude, that rips.
Like macaws and like cockatoos, like parrots and shit like that. Just random birds.
Brought them back to your house?
Brought them back to our house, our tiny, tiny house in Arizona.
Dude.
And we had converted our tiny little garage into like just an extra space. And he just had birds there. And then he started buying, breeding, and selling birds in the 90s.
Dude, he was like Tiger King, but for birds.
Yeah.
He's Bird King.
He was Bird King, and that was like that was like the last sort of time Americans had extra money. This was like this was like tail end of Clinton.
Sure.
When there was like a surplus in America, so people had money, and people were getting into things that were not like having just a dog or cat was considered like boring if you were rich. People had tigers, people had monkeys. Remember that monkey that ripped off that lady's face and she went on Oprah?
Oh, yeah.
This was like around that time. Like people had sugar gliders and like people just wanted weird shit, like weird stuff, lizards and stuff.
I mean, I still do.
Yeah.
It's,
And so
I'm not gonna get
my
it.
dad filled that market for exotic birds.
Arizona does seem like a place where a lot of people want some birds.
It was the first time I had ever met anybody in the arts. All of my family was like pretty standard, like, get a degree, get a job kind of thing, like doctors, engineers type of deal, or you own some sort of business. Through him was the first time I'd ever met anybody and he was doing this all cash. All the ads were like in the classifieds. This
Dude,
is
your
old
dad's
school
a
shit.
fucking G.
And then he was laundering
like-
all the money through my mom. Then my mom, because he didn't have a real
He's
job.
the bird mob?
She then got that job through the trade school, so she had a real job. And then my dad was doing this, and then he would sell it as like, oh, we don't have to get a babysitter because I'll be at home watching the kids, and then doing this bird business. And so then we were all just like we all had little jobs in the bird business. My oldest brother, his job was like build the cages because he could weld. He learned how to weld because he was really into cars. And then the brother underneath him, who's my manager, handled all the finances. Yeah.
And you were just doing a type 5 for these birds? So you're like,
I was like, I'm just going to run some material. No, my job was to, and then the brother underneath him, his job was to like manage like the schedule for like food and water, like all that kind of stuff. And then my job was to tame them. Yeah.
how'd you get tamed?
My job, because I was the youngest.
Did you guys do like King of the Hill between you and your
No,
brothers?
I think they didn't want to. The birds were actually pretty chill with me, and animals in general. Not to fucking flex on you guys, but animals
Dang,
are pretty chill with me.
that is a flex.
I think it's because they could sense that I was like a child, They hated my dad. They're like, I know you are up to some nefarious.
You put him in a box.
Yeah,
truck.
I know there's some. So I can see the money changing hands. Fuck you, dude. But when it was me, they're like, who this kid? This is an innocent kid.
Damn.
You know, so I would hang out with the birds after school and like teach them how to like whatever get on your finger, and like whatever hang out and stuff. But yeah, through them I met. The first time I'd met anybody that made money off of writing, I met this lady who showed up to our tiny house in this like sick ass like lifted like truck, and it was like this little tiny lady and her family. And my dad was like, "What do you do for work?" And she was like, "I write songs for country singers." She was like loaded. She lived like in a mansion.
This was
in,
not
like,
her first
Scottsdale.
bird purchase.
No.
No, she's been around the bird market.
So rich, like the way she just like, here you go, there you go. And my dad was we were so fascinated
That's
by
incredible.
like these baller ass people, like doing all sorts of like weird ass stuff. Like there was a guy who was like in like weird like, he was in not like real estate, but like in the rental of like the machines people use when they're like building things like cranes and stuff.
Okay.
Like his family did that.
Sure.
And I was like, I didn't even know that was a
Oh yeah.
thing.
Isn't it wild where you're like in the middle of nowhere and you're like, there's a random mansion and you're like, who's that? And they're like, cabinet money.
Yeah, you're like, what?
Yeah. That's my family, dude. That's my dad. There. So you look at my dad's house. Who lives there? Asphalt.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So like we met all those types of people. My dad met a guy who was a multimillionaire off of crickets. Because if you go to like a pet
Wireless
store,
or
no, the actual crickets. Because when you go to like a pet store, that's the main feed for like all lizards.
right, frogs, lizards,
All of that.
Yeah.
So this guy had a legit cricket farm.
I only know that because my sister one time forgot to get me a Christmas gift and went and got a $1.99 frog. And then I was stuck with a frog and a box of crickets in my room. I was like 7th grade.
Oh, man.
R.I.P. Maximus. That was a great
Maximus.
frog.
That's a great name.
But there's a cricket
There's
guy.
a guy for everything. There's like a person.
There's
that
a
runs that
hustle for
business.
everything.
For everything.
And you focused yours so early.
Yeah.
What do you think your favorite part of the journey's been? Because we got to wrap up. Here.
My favorite part has been, like the hang.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's addicting, dude.
It's a great hang. Like that was like the thing. Like during COVID, it's like I like doing the work. I like when material works. I like figuring out the hour and putting it together. That's like really awesome to me. I really do enjoy that. But if there was no hang, I feel like it would be, it's like the reason I don't want to like write a novel. Like I like writing, but I don't want to write a novel because it's like, what's the hang? It's so sad to me.
It is. It's such an addicting thing and thing to love that people forget to do comedy.
Yeah. That too. Yeah. But I try to make sure that I focus on the bits, but also like sometimes I'll stay at the store till like, I'll have a 9, like yesterday I had a 9 p.m. spot. I stayed until like 2.
Yeah.
Just because it's like it's like a clubhouse. You see all these people that.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying you're gonna forget to do comedy. What I am saying is like people love it so. That's how alluring that hang is. When you're hanging out with like very funny people and it's 9 of them and they're all popping.
Yeah.
One time, the last thing Jack Knight ever said to me.
Yeah. R.I.P.
I was sitting at the back door of the Comedy Store and he like we're friends but we're not that friendly. He walks by me to go to his car and like I didn't think anything of it and he stops and he turned around and he goes, "Hey man, I didn't mean to not say goodbye to you. But you ever go to say goodbye to someone here, and next thing you know, you're talking to a homeless person on the side of Sunset, and it's 3 a.m, and you're drunk as hell?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I get it." And he goes, "You get it." And then that's how good the hang is, man.
It's incredible. That's the thing like I missed during, not being able to do shows when, COVID was happening was like, it's the hang. I was like, I can write jokes at home.
Sure.
It's the hang.
I can run it by friends.
Yeah. It's just not being able to just like chill and like also like watch your friends, do shows and stuff and realize that like, man, people pay money for this.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, you just get to.
It is unbelievable how the average man can't write a joke. And they need you to do it. and
Yeah.
they will pay for it. It's crazy.
Hey, everyone has a service. I can't raise crickets, so it's like everybody has something.
Dude, you can tame birds. You can raise crickets. One last question.
Yeah.
What do you think the hardest part of the journey's been?
The hardest part of the journey has probably been maintaining a sort of sense of composure when the career you've chosen is very uncertain. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just being able to
absolutely.
see sort of the long game and being like, yeah, okay, this is not good. This part sucks. You know, your show got canceled, or this thing didn't get picked up, or whatever. Like, this part of your set sucks, or whatever. Like, or it could be your personal life or whatever. But just like being able to step back and being like, oh, this is just like this part.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna, you know,
Was there a moment where you learned that? Where you were like, this is just this part?
yeah, a bunch. Like both with stand up. You know, there are times where I would go do a weekend and like nobody would come. You know, like early on you do a weekend and
Yeah.
no one would come. And you'd be like, man, I thought I promoted. You know what I mean? And then you're just there at the end of the weekend, and even the guy running the club is just like looking at you and just writes that. He writes that sad check.
Yeah.
And he hands it to you. And he doesn't even like, you know you had a bad weekend too when like they don't even give you a T-shirt. They're like, we don't want you wearing.
Hey, kitchen's
it.
closed as well, buddy.
Yeah.
Catch the Greyhound.
Yeah,
outta here.
and then you have like your little shitty camera, and you put it back in your backpack, and then you're just outside, and it just feels like you're like, what am I doing? And then you're also like, you know, because of social media, like all of your friends, like if you have friends that are not doing comedy, I have friends that don't do comedy, and you're like, they have like lives.
Yeah, it looks really fulfilling.
And they're like, yeah, I have a house and I have kids and I have a baby shower and blah, blah, blah.
I'm not jealous about it at all.
But that makes sense for them because it's like if you get a job when you're like 22, by 26 you're like, okay, I should probably get married and like start a family and you know what I mean?
Right.
Like if that's what's happening, but you know, our careers don't even like get going until you're in your 30s. If you're
Right.
lucky.
Right.
So it's like because there's that much, you know, that much uncertainty and ups and downs or whatever, and having to deal with like all of that, whatever, that is just like this. It's an ongoing difficulty.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think that the longer you're in it, you can kind of look back and be like, oh, I shouldn't have been freaking out so much when I was like 20,
Right.
because it's like I should have just been like, hey, have fun, just focus on the whatever. But that's what's cool about like the hang is because then you'll be hanging out with comedians who are much older than you,
Yes.
and comedians who are much younger than you, and like the older ones, if you're young, are like, hey, dude, like I'm still, you know what I mean?
Right.
So you can get that kind of perspective, which I think is important.
I think one thing the Comedy Store has really taught me
Yeah.
is it's not that important,
No.
brother. It's like I think Tom Hanks said that this too shall pass.
Yeah.
You know, it's going good. It's going good. This is not the Christmas party to be all Christmas parties.
No,
Don't
no,
be
no,
worried
no.
about what you said to that person. You're not getting paid, and this is like it's gonna pass, man.
And it's like, it's your life. As long as you're having fun.
And this career really only stops when you say it does. It is a thing where it can be 40 years long. You can't get freaked out over.
Yeah. It may not look exactly the same, but you can still have fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I've never seen you freaked out, man. You're calm, cool, collected.
Hey, man.
I appreciate you doing the podcast,
Love you,
brother.
dude.
Thank you for
man.
coming out.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Just stop when I'm driven